Greetings everyone and welcome back to Factory Town and to a familiar site at this point, and that is the Mana Network. Now in today's episode my primary goal is going to be increasing the food production in the town, but before we get to that there is one tiny little thing, and I really do mean tiny, that we're going to have a look at here before we get stuck in with setting up a new production chain. Now, first and foremost, I have set up all of the agent triggers and boolean switches so that we are correctly summoning more mana only when it is being used up, so that we're preventing any kind of backlog. However, you may notice down here there is a backlog behind this transmitter. That is not something that we have budgeted for. This transmitter is simply unable to push mana crystals out into the network fast enough. So I think we can perhaps make this a little tiny bit better. So let's get rid of that for now and get rid of that for now. We are going to straight up move you over there, and I would very much like a second copy. And what we're going to do then is we are going to hook this up there and that up here, and we should possibly see earth crystals being pushed onto the network fast enough. No, that is about as fast as they can possibly move. They can't saturate the network any faster than that. That is a little bit of a potch. Okay, perhaps what we may want to do then is get even some sort of secondary network. So rather than running all of these buildings that use earth crystals off of this one recharge station, maybe we need more. I was hoping that I could get the crystals a little bit tighter, more densely compacted onto the pipe, but apparently that is not going to be the case. So eventually we'll have a spare mana transmitter to move around. But for the time being, I'm just going to go ahead and do this. And then we're going to move on with the rest of our day. And since I've done that, I may as well put a splitter there as well. There we go. All well and good. Now then, over there, we can hook up air mana to help with things a little bit more. But the primary focus, as I mentioned today, is food. Everything over here, we're not producing nearly enough. Though that said, we do actually have quite a lot of items here. Why are these not being picked up? Oh, it's probably because our carts are never getting over there when they're empty. Let's have a watch. No, you actually did manage to pick some up. Okay, let's have a look through here. No, they're all fine. We've got stupid amounts of chicken. Well, everything down here seems to be working well. A little bit tricksy, that one, I must confess. Okay, well, let's have another watch. Are we really not seeing any empty carts getting over there? This one should activate. Oh, no, there we go. Maybe it's just a matter of getting some more carts. We do have a lot more carts now that are backing up the system. So first things first then, we're going to go ahead and we're going to build some more carts. Again, these do not cost any population points, so there's really no reason not to have them. Lots of them. And by that, there we go. And you as well. And finally you. And that should see... no, go the other way. Oh, there we go. My lord. But there we are, that should work out quite well. You should not have gone through there. But you'll also notice I have put an inventory sensor and a boolean function. Now what's happening here is the inventory sensor is sensing what the number of items in the inventory of the minecart. It's passing it to the not function. So if it is positive in any way, it gets reversed to negative, which shuts down this pusher, meaning if it's got something in the cart already, don't try and pick up more things. But if it is empty, this reverses that to a positive integer, which in terms of logic, or rather binary, is yes or true, and that turns on the pusher, and so it directs the empty cart into the waiting station there. And everything should move along nicely. There we go. Once the chicken is all gathered, we should start seeing the sandwiches being picked up, hopefully. The other thing I could do is I could have my carts split half and half to grab the general goods and half to grab food. That is definitely a possibility. Let's have a look. Generally, the happiness isn't too bad, though. At 4 across the board is none too great. What we're seeing now is a lack of vegetables. That's vegetables and grain. I mean, the grain, that one is obvious because we're not picking up any sandwiches or indeed any of the bread that is being stored there. We should start seeing that happen. What the dickens? Why did you go in there? Never mind. But we should start seeing that happening a little bit more. Now, another thing I could do is I could have this inventory sensor offset into this tile. So it'll only check the vehicle moving through the tile. Now, I don't know necessarily if that's going to work. We'll watch now as it comes through. It would have worked. Yeah, sure. We'll offset these and we'll just observe if that jams up the system or not later on. It would be best if one of these carts could move soon. There we go. Let's have a watch. Can you work? You do work. Okay, well, that's perfect for me. The moment you came out there, it shut the system down. Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on that one for now, but hopefully we should start seeing some of these creeping up towards the 5s. Yes, but the vegetables are really not happening. Now, why is that? Here's the veggie stews. Why is that not going on? Ah, we are lacking fuel. Well, now, we have got enough veggie stew there for the time being, but the lack of fuel is a problem. Now, we could, I suppose, given that, we are supplementing the fuel with fertilizer, but we could bring some of the wood over here. Alternatively, we could set up a little area to just constantly generate coal. Now, that isn't a bad idea, honestly. We could easily do that. Enough coal to supply all of the kitchens here for as long as they need coal. We don't really need to use the fertilizer. We are paying, though, either way, either to get the wood or to get the coal over there. So really none of them is better than the other. We're paying an exorbitant price no matter what we do. So let's go for the wood. Since we've already got that in position, we might as well use that one to try and help out a little bit. We're going to want this running along here. I don't believe... No, that doesn't use fuel. That does. These are getting the lion's share of the fuel, so that's not a problem there. But you two definitely need a little bit of a boost. So let's make that happen for you, shall we? Let's get a little support structure coming out here. And then over the top of here as well. There we are. And then some extra archways along here. I really do like that we've got the pillars. I'm so surprised that I missed that for as long as I did, but I imagine quite a few people watching this right now are not at all surprised that I missed it for as long as I did. Good old reliable Aavak, eh? There we go. That should start helping out with the fuel needs. Let's make sure that it is split evenly, though. Well, actually, it shouldn't input in there because it can't receive it, so that should be fine. Then we'll have another splitter. Oh, we don't want a splitter there because it might actually shunt it off. Well, actually, let's see. I don't think that's ever going to be a problem, but if it is, then I guess that will be a problem. I don't believe it can unless the chute is pointing in. So we'll see. Now, we've rapidly increased the production of our baked goods. Hopefully, we will continue to draw in the fertilizer where we can. Though there is quite good chance that we won't. What I could do instead is have some sort of agent trigger down here that only allows any wood through when some of this when this is empty. Perhaps we could have a silo or something like that, but I don't think we really need to go to that level of complexity just to manage that. Hopefully, this will in turn help out with the food situation back at base. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, we're seeing 5s and 6s now. That's a lot nicer. That is much nicer. Now, dairy is going to be a problem for a little while. Is meat a problem for any of my houses? A few. Not many, but enough that I'm concerned about it. So what we're going to do then, we're going to set up a little area just down here to do some fishing and then cooking the fish as well. So let's go ahead and find a nice little spot. I think this should be fine. Let's go ahead and remove the resources in this area. We will get to dairy, but for now, let's focus on the things that are reasonably easy for us to do. I'll be honest, a very big part of me wants to replace the setup over here with this, as that's far more efficient, at least space-wise. But for the time being, I guess we can be good. However, I do want to create a method for any carts that have cargo to skip this area. So let's go ahead and build that up. We're going to want an inventory sensor connected to a bool function, connected to a pusher. But let's set this up first. Inventory sensor in there. I want this then to feed into the bool function. Actually, no, we don't want this to not. We want this to trigger on whether or not there is an inventory here. We want to send it back around. So we'll build the pusher and simply hook it up to the inventory sensor. There we go. That had nothing, so it's not getting pushed. Perfect. That should work adequately. All right. Now then, what I would like to do is build a little area for us to have some cooked fish. I think that would be a delightful meal to supplement our hungry colonists' need for meat. So we'll have a silo. How much room do we need? We want 3 by 3, more or less. So that should be quite easy to set up. We'll have this one right there. We'll set up the rails all the way around and back in like so. There we are. Perfect. Right, we want a inventory center. We'll pop that one here. We also want a math block. Oops, that's not where I wanted it. Only over 20. Want a blocker just on this side since the carts will be coming in this direction. Want a bool function and of course an inventory center as well because we are going to need to worry about this. I'll take the pusher when I need it, but for now let's just set this up. So we want this to be actually offset onto the tile with the pusher and then feeding into the not function. We then would like the pusher set up there and then fed by the not function there as well. There we go, perfect. Now, if this has greater than or equal to 20, oops, that is to currently 1. There we go. And I want this, to feed that. And this to feed the blocker. There we go. Actually, no, I need that to be less than 20, of course. I was looking at this, which is doing the operation in the opposite direction, in the opposite way. There we are. And offset into the silo. There we go. So this should allow our carts to start picking up what will hopefully be a large amount of cooked fish. Now, I'm not sure if cooked fish has to be conveyed, but I think it'll be conveyed by a conveyor rather than a chute. I guess it's an easy one for me to check. Let's go ahead and pop the kitchen there. If I remove this, actually, yeah, sure, let's give it a try. Let's set this up to make cooked fish, and only cooked fish, please and thank you. That being said, I could sell fish oil. I mean, it's quite a reasonable one when you think about it, but no, we won't get to that one just yet. Fish oil and ointment could make antidotes. Oh, we can make all sorts of things, but let's see. No, there we go. Nice and easy way to test it. Right, so we're going to want some fuel over here. We're also going to want fish over here, but that part should be fairly easy for us to do. We will get a silo just to the side. So let's copy you. There we are. And we will convey the fish into there thanks to a little fishing boat we will have right here. There we go. Let's just get all of that across. Marvelous, that should work very well. There we are. And these will go straight in. Perfect. Right, all we need now is some fuel. Now, I could bring that fuel from across there if I really wanted to. Do I, though, is the real question. Alternatively, I could gather some coal from over there in the mines. That is also an option. But really, again, I'm going to be paying for it one way or t'other, so it doesn't really help me. But this one little forester is actually managing the fuel needs for an awful lot there. How much does it cost per tree? 1 red. How much does it cost per bit of coal? 1 red, actually, and that coal will burn for a hell of a lot longer. Alright, I think we have our answer there, and that answer should also change the way that we're fueling all of our kitchens, because honestly, that's a lot better. I'm not going to run it all the way down there, but That's definitely a better fuel source and probably worth setting up on that side. But we'll see. We will build that over here, though. So we'll go for a little... Oh, actually, we would need to set up a whole recharging setup for the coal deposits. Now, how much does it cost to recharge things? Regular coins, that's not a problem then. I could inline a silo and pull the coal out of that. I'm just not really sure that that's worth the effort right now. Sure, we could easily have that running across and then up. Yeah, okay, let's go ahead and do that. We'll have one silo inlined, so let's go ahead and get rid of this and then copy this silo there. There we are. Now the silo will typically output into the forge, which would be grand. I could have a second silo also feeding into this one so that both of these are kind of sharing the burden, but I don't think that's going to be necessary just yet. However, I am going to build these too tall. There we go. And we'll extract the coal from there. How will we... Ooh, there's a silo in our path. That is not exactly useful, I'll be honest. I believe this is up the hill slightly, but we could be wrong there. Sure, let's just draw this out first. And then across. There we go. That'll do. And we'll place down a couple of support poles here. There we are. And then we'll draw it out towards the kitchens. Won't be a problem. There we go. Something like that should do. We've got some trees in the way. It's fine, I tell you. Not a problem there. It is a problem. It's going to slowly drive me mad, but I'm going to endure it for your sake. There we go. And we could, at this point, take the coal up along this route. I think that would be ideal. So, let's make sure that happens. Now, we shouldn't need an archway here because we're so high up. So that's ideal. However, I am probably going to want to bring it down a little bit at this point. Yes, I am. So let's pop this one in there and then we'll draw it out across. Now that stage, we are going to want to take away this completely. There we go. This will cause the kitchens to start to lose their fuel a little bit. There's enough fertilizer behind in the backlog there that it shouldn't be a huge issue, but eventually it will start to run dry. There we go. That will do very nicely indeed. Right, so I'm going to want actually to draw this back a little bit and have this go down a ramp right about now. There we are. And if we then draw this out all the way, we should see it all connect up quite nicely. Perfect. So it'll get a little bit of a speed boost. It will take a corner there, but that shouldn't be an issue for us. There we go. That's a little bit better in my mind. And then we can allow it to take the corner over here as well. Strictly speaking, we don't actually need it to be one high over here. So we'll bring it down. Oops, I need that a little bit higher though. There we go. Don't need it to be elevated at this point. Right, there we go. Perfect. If we pop down a grabber over on this side, then that should all start working. There we are. It will empty this silo, but eventually it'll all start to catch up. There we go. Now this is going to be running two separate kitchens, which isn't strictly ideal, but it is what it is. There we are. Let's have a watch of this. That should fill up quite nicely. There we go, and then we'll start getting a bit of a backlog there. Fill this one up quite nicely. Excellent. There we go. Right. As soon as we have 20 in there, now this produces one every 5 seconds. Now that isn't particularly fast, I will confess. But we can improve it a little bit. We can get some steam over here. Are these not hooked up? Oh, I don't believe they hook up to steam. Really? That's quite interesting. Grab the steam pipe. No, they should do. There we are. Let's have a look. So this is now running at 370. This is running at 370. There we go. That's a bit better. I could increase this a tiny bit, but I'm really not sure there's a point in it. This should be fine for the most part. There we are. Everything's going in the correct direction. This one could not get up onto the bridge in time, so took a turn. Very well. There we are. That shouldn't be too bad. So we should start seeing the meat starting to tick up. What are we lacking over here? Grains and dairy both. But we will generally start seeing meat taken care of. So grain is still an issue. We've got so much bread and sandwiches. How? I fear... Yeah, I fear that we may be having a bit of an issue with all of my carts heading up here and just getting sidetracked. Maybe at this stage it would be useful for me to replace these with waiting carts and then just having that many carts at least, plus a couple of extra in the system. So we've got the ability to react quickly to the presence of sufficient materials to be transported. That would seem like a good idea. Also, the idea of splitting empty carts, so only half of my available carts go to the workshops. Not entirely sold on that idea yet, but we'll see how things go. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to replace these depots with the new style of depots that I have, and I will bring you back when that's done. Okay, there we go. It's all been set up, and it is time for me to now add a bunch more carts onto the rails. There we go. Let's get all of these going. There we are. Now, hopefully, that will start to alleviate some of the issues we have, because we have no cart currently docked in these areas, and we won't have any carts docked in these areas for quite some time, because many of the things being picked up aren't going to be used nearly as quickly as we're going to be trying to deliver them, but still, this will actually start to make a bit of a difference. We've got... The coal has been set up as I initially suggested I might, and that is this silo is now feeding into this silo, which is feeding down the whole chain, and slowly but surely it should start to back up. If not, then we can always look into setting that another mine up around here that can also gather some more coal. In fact, we could have this one join in the fun, perhaps. I'm not entirely certain on that one. Though that being said, our iron supplies are backing up, so sure, we could actually do that. So yeah, okay, let's get this on the go. So we would want a grabber first and foremost set up to only pull coal out of here. So let's make sure that that's going to be happening. Coal, look at this, a text filter. So glorious. It's actually difficult to put into words, my lord. And we'll have another silo here, but this one will only draw coal out. And I would like this one to be set up to also mine coal from now on. There we go. That should help a great deal, hopefully. Is it drawing coal? It should be. We'll have a watch of that. Oh no, I haven't set up the chute yet. There we go. Perfect. Coal is now being supplied. So we should see this start to back up a little bit more aggressively. And generally speaking, things will be a tad bit better all around. Now we're starting to see a lot more empty carts moving through. That's fantastic. We've still barely started to extract any of the sandwiches yet though, but that should be fine in the end. There we go. Dropping off some more chicken. That is immediately being consumed. Dropping off some butter that is probably... it was there for a moment. A very brief moment, but a moment all the same. One that I am very happy to see. How are we doing for general goods? General goods is still going all right, but if we have a look at the overall happiness, we're still seeing 4s, and that is something that I'm... Oh, we even saw a 3 there for a moment, but that does seem to have been improved a little bit. So, right, so the chicken, the spare chicken is now okay. Once we actually grab a load of sandwiches, then the chicken shouldn't be as much of an issue, simply because it won't be available. It's only backing up as aggressively as it is because we are not collecting the sandwiches, and that's the same for the bread as well. The one thing I am noticing is we're not seeing any carts just waiting here. So we still need carts in the system? My goodness, we're pulling a lot of materials out. Any of the materials cycling? They might be, but no, I don't think they are. We're just consuming that much and not collecting it. My goodness. I wouldn't have thought that was the case, but thank goodness these things don't require any population to run. So let's get a couple more of these down. In fact, quite a few. There we go. Let's go. Other way. Thank you. Same with you. There we are. And all of them are now on their way. There we go. That should, I really, really hope, help out a little bit. Have we got any empty carts on the way? No. No, but that's fine. We are going to be dropping them in here now and then. The reason why I set this one up on this side and with that little pusher, right now that's only helping with the fish. But eventually we are going to have at least one other production over here. I'm not sure what that'll be yet. It could in fact be something else that draws from fish. We could set up the ointments, for example, and start delivering those. Though that would actually be quite cool. Finally, we are collecting some sandwiches. Oh my lord. Starting to see some empty carts moving through. This is a grand sign. Okay, so grain should start to help out. Maybe our problem with grain, honestly, wasn't to do with our production, but rather to do with our transport. That could easily be the case. Let's watch this cart tuck in there and stay, and we're also going to pick up some bread. Oh my goodness, it took us a while to get to this stage, but we're finally here, and we've got plenty of empty carts in the system now. Let's have a look. Are there lots of happy faces? There are lots of happy faces. Are there any 4s? There are not. It looks like everyone is mostly satisfied. Mostly. Okay, well that's actually pretty cool. Dairy is probably the only thing that's really holding us back, but that's only because we've got one producer of dairy, whereas we've got multiples of almost everything else. We've only got one producer of fruit and veg as well, but unlike dairy with the butter, which is now one of the least satisfying dairy products that we're capable of producing. Actually, no, it's in the middle. Cheese would be better, but we have no 100%. Veggie stew, unlike cheese, satisfies to 100% instantly. So I think we have to have either milk or cheese set up. Now, milk, it wouldn't be a bad one to get going, but that might be a bit of a tricky one, ultimately. Just because of how much we would need to bring in. Also, with vegetables, we could simply have apples or some other vegetable. Perhaps the farm could just produce some regular vegetables and sell those straight up. That wouldn't be necessarily a bad idea. But on for the most part, we've corrected our happiness issue with just addressing our transport for the most part. I'm pretty happy with that, actually. That's gone quite well. Though I'm not seeing any carts backed up in there, but we will see a couple slowly moving in. Okay, well, the next thing we could do, like I said, we could go ahead and look to set up something like the ointment. That said, we could just go straight for fish oil. We would need herbs delivered if we wanted to go for ointment, but I kind of prefer to go for the best thing we can do in a category rather than waste time on it. The shirts versus the cloaks and coats is an obvious exception there, though. We've got bandages, we've got poultices, which will be made in a workshop. We've got a medical wrap, got a remedy made in a kitchen. That would be a potion, though. Ointment is a salve, much like the... Well, no, the bandages treated as bandages. So ointment does actually seem to be a pretty solid option there. Well, we could definitely do that. And the extra herbs could be used perhaps to make something for bandages. So let's have a look through here. A medical wrap, there we are, requires salves, requires ointment and a poultice and some cloth to be able to make a medical wrap. That does bring in quite a lot though. But herbs and bandages would make a poultice for a decent amount, or just straight up cloth for the bandages. We could set something up to be able to make poultices at the very least, and then also make salves. That would satisfy two different desires of the fishing. So we'd need one kitchen, a farm, and a workshop. I think we can put that down. I think that is definitely something we can work on. That would bring the happiness over here up to a dizzying height. But we'll save that for the next episode. The last thing we're going to do then in this one is finally we're going to remove all of the infrastructure and the houses over on this side. It has been a very, very, very long time coming, this. It's going to be good to get it all sorted. Sorry, but you need to go. Let's get rid of you. I could have moved it, but there really was nowhere to put it, so it seemed a bit surplus demand, honestly. There we are. Now, without anyone consuming any of the materials over here, any of the food, that's just going to back up. We will eventually get rid of that as well, I assure you. But for the time being, it doesn't seem really that useful. We will start rotating these around. And we'll echo the design we have over there with a little square of some sort. Let's bring you across as well. There we go. And there we have it. Marvelous. I am really, really happy with what we managed to get done in this episode. I think it will do a huge, heaping great big bit of work for the colony. Actually, we can rotate these around a little bit better. There we go, and you can be there. That is perfect. Look at that. Fantastic. Everyone should be so happy. That one did have 7, though. They're going to miss all of those poultices and ointments, so we're going to definitely need to get that up and running. But at that point, we can really start getting rid of the infrastructure over here, especially all of this food, and that's going to free up an enormous amount of our workforce. Indeed, we're pretty much going to remove all of our industry from over here, and this was just going to be for our mana, pretty much. That is going to be a pretty nice place for us to be, but that is going to be it from me for now. So in this episode, we have streamlined our movement of goods into the town, and most of the townsfolk are pretty happy at this point. We have added one new item to the mix, and that is cooked fish to try and supplement the cooked meat desires. Let's have a look. Yeah, we're pretty much eating the food as fast as we can get it in there, so we have still got some room for extra noms to be delivered. We also checked out a slight improvement that I had made to the way that mana was being delivered over here. We could definitely look at using air mana to speed things up, but I think that's a good bit of progress there. I think in the next episode we are finally gonna get to making fire mana and delivering that to the school. I'm gonna look forward to that, but that is it from me. So until next time, and as always, do take care, everyone.